All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we give our praise, glory, and honor to you. How about Shemi Awashai, Ba'ashem, Harakah, Kodash, Bakathum. Give honor to the apostles and elders of the great millstone, and to all the occupants across the globe, preaching the word of truth and sincerity. I want to say Shalom. This is our Dianawa from the great millstone campus, Chicago, for the lesson. And today's lesson, we're going to get into um, a very, you know, Lord willing, a couple of things. Um, they've been getting on Kanye, been in the spotlight, as him speaking the truth, but he speaks some truth. All right, him and Michael Rappaport, the nation is split. This is another diversionary tactic used by the powers to be to create separation. Because you have those who support what Kanye said, you got some who support what Michael Rappaport said, but they're two snakes the two heads of the same snake. They're both privy to their rituals and um, things that go on in Hollywood. They're privy to um, certain things that the average world is not privy to. Parties and how things work. Gatekeepers and all that type of stuff that happens in Hollywood, man. And they've been around circles of high-ranking luminaries. They're involved with big name movers and shakers in the industry, and one is going against the establishment, and the other one is speaking for the establishment. All right, although Kanye West is, I believe, bugged out. All right, but he is privy to those circles, and what he's saying is just proof of things being true. And not only that, but we as in the men, Lord willing, we're the men of the Lord. I'm starting with the elders and apostles on down. As far as I can be in the truth, we spoke about the same things that um, Kanye has been speaking about. All right, but yet we always say too, as if that a superstar or high level, high visual entertainer or athlete or someone who spoke out on certain things, that people would listen. And boy, are people listening, man. And through all the opportunity shy for that, the voice is getting heard in the sense about being Hebrews and being Shemites. All right, being about the 12 tribes, you see, and about them not being who they say are the small hatters who are not being who they say they are. All right, the ones that belong over there in the land of Israel. All right, so I'm going to get a few precepts. All right, and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. This is Amos 5 and 10. They hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. All right, and that's what it is, man. You speak out against this uh, uh, infrastructure which has been placed by the Illuminati and their cohorts, their think tanks, their demonic minions who are in control of the money, the media, the banks. You see, those people um, are the ones who are manipulating crisis. They're manipulating shortages. They're manipulating pandemics and things like that. They are really behind the scenes conspiring against the American people, but much more importantly, they're conspiring against the 12 tribes. And when you speak out against it, all right, you're going to be a victim of the cancel culture. You're going to get your shows taken down. You're going to get fired. You're going to get your sponsors taken away from you. You're going to get your pages shut down. You're going to get strikes on your YouTube pages. You're going to get hit with community guidelines. You're going to get your Facebook jail. You're going to get your TikToks and your Instagram posts taken down and your tweets. You see? But it's all fine and dandy when we're speaking and doing coonery and buffoonery. We're talking about drill music and killing your own people and things that further further push the agenda of being a degenerate in America, you're able to do that. You see, you can look up and see a 3-year-old girl twerking on the table, but you can't sit here and bring out the truth. And when you do, they label you as crazy. Right? There's been numerous entertainers over the years. I can name a few. I remember Martin. They try to say Martin was crazy. They try to say Dave Chappelle was crazy. They try to say Britney Spears was crazy. Hell, they made her have a fucking nervous breakdown, man. You see, so these powers to be are really they're alive and they're working, man. You see, and when you speak out against the establishment, you know that they've gone overboard. All right, when that person who spoke out is getting things taken away from them. You see, the first thing they make you do is apologize. If you don't want to apologize, then they start taking away your assets, freezing up your accounts, dropping sponsors, blackballing you from your industry or your craft, man. All right, so that's how we know that a lot of truth that a lot of things that Kanye is saying is the truth, and not only that, it's also filtered through the scriptures. All right, so Proverbs 9:7 it says, "He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame, and he that rebuketh a wicked man getteth himself a blot." All right, and that's what is going on now. All right, the truth that has been well hidden has come to light. All right, and we're here. All right, taking it to the gates of the nobles, taking it to the front doorstep of these powers to be, and we can no longer be ignored. All right, the men of the Lord, this gospel has been preached. We're on every platform or in every facet of social media. You see, and we're speaking out against the hypocrisy, the injustice, the wrong ways of westernized society, and how it's become a plague and a cancer to its citizens, man, and to the world as a whole. And let's not forget that America's grasp, westernized civilization, is spread. All right, it's spread across the globe. You see, we have these other nations assimilating to Western culture. You know, they're wearing westernized clothes. They're taking on westernized practices, westernized laws. You see, and when you speak out against it, what they try to label you as a terrorist, as a being non-American. She's non-patriotic. You see, they cast your name as evil. All right. The verse 8 said, "Reprove not a scorner lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man and he will love thee." All right. All right. That was it on that. Let me see if there's another scripture that I want to get. Let's go ahead and we'll go to the other one. This Sirach, come on, they always do this. Let me see. Alright, we'll go here. This Sirach, maybe I'll just leave it like this. Sirach 34 and 34 and 21, it says, "The bread of the needy is their life. He that defraudeth him thereof is a man of blood." All right, now we know Kanye West is not needing of anything. All right, although they're taking the money away, he's not broke. All right, he's never going to have to work a regular job again. Okay, but there are people who work for Kanye. There are people who don't make that much money as him, right? You know, you got people who are dependent on him and his status and his position to feed them and their families. You see, if you take that away, you're actually hurting individuals who have worked and labored for this man. All right? He that take away his neighbor's living slayeth him, and he that defraudeth the labor of his hire is a bloodshedder, man. All right? So if you take away somebody's living, you're killing them, man. All right. Now he could be a bit eccentric and a bit brash, and hey, but I thought this was America, the land of the free, the home of the brave. All right, the land of free speech. You know, free press. You see, but it's only free when you agree. All right. And now, and don't get me wrong, I can care less about it whether you're a billionaire, a thousandaire, or a hundredaire. The point being is that the lengths that these people will go through to discredit you, to shut you out of society, to bring you down, and to humble you in the face of your peers, man. But really, they're making an example of others to not go down this path, or this thing will happen to you and worse. All right. Um, the Sirach 13. Um, man. All right, we're gonna go down to verse 8. This is on Sirach 13 and 1. He that touches pitch shall be defiled therewith, and he that hath fellowship with a proud man shall be like unto him. All right, and this guy has stood next to um, a lot of um, a lot of luminaries, man. All right, and they put him in a position to become very rich, very famous. All right, very wealthy, and he has taken on that attitude of being very arrogant, very proud. All right, to burden not thyself above thy power where thou livest, have no fellowship with one that is mightier and richer than thyself. For how agree the kettle and the earthen pot together? For if the one be smitten against the other, it shall be broken. So burden not thyself above thy power where thou livest. All right, stay in your lane, man. All right, if you really are worried about your livelihood and you're worried about your future safety of your kids and the stability of your finances that can support your children from generation to generation. All right, stay within your lane. All right, stay within your lane. Stay within the parameters. All right, of the system that you're in, and that's why we as Israelites, we are content with the basic things, with the food and raiment, be there with content. You see, he said the principles of life, water, fire, the blood of the grape, salt. You see, those things are what we worried about. We worried about just getting our daily bread, going to work, coming home. All right, keeping things on our plate as minimal as possible. All right, it's a burden of thyself above thy power while thou livest. Have no fellowship with one that is mightier and richer than thyself. For the most part, man, like we're not making deals with people who may be able to have control over us, man. All right, we're not trying to rub elbows with the elites. We're not trying to rub elbows with the CEOs, to get ahead in this world, man. All right, we're not trying to make ourselves equal to men who are in a whole different tax bracket or in a whole level a whole different level of a playing field than what we're on, man. All right. So for how agree the kettle and the earthen pot together? For if the one be smitten against the other, it shall be broken. It just shows to go you. It just goes to show you how much power and how much influence, all right, that Kanye West has, man. All right, he's not as powerful as he thought he was. He's not as important as he thought he was, man. All right, because there's an old saying, man, like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. You see, when somebody feeds you, they're in control. Once they stop feeding you, then how are you going to eat? You see, and that's what he's learning out now. Although he say it's for the culture, although he say he's doing what's right, and that man is sick. He's losing all this money, man. All right, he's sick that Chase kicked him out of their accounts. You see, these things are gonna bother. He could put on a face and say things that that might keep him to save face, man. But that man is hurting. All right, when your money depreciates from billions to millions to thousands, not saying it has, but hey, they're gonna hit him and sting him in the pockets even more and more, man. All right, but that's what happens when you go against the establishment. All right, so for the one be smitten against the other, it shall be broken. The rich men have done wrong, and yet he threateneth. Right now, not only is Kanye exposing these people, all right, the wickedness and the thievery and the defrauding and the using of the Israelites in their community, not in their community, in their entertainment world, in their acting world, in their sport world, and in the world in general. See, he's exposing them on so many levels that the only thing they can do is to what they call them crazy. They threaten to pull their sponsorship from them. And guess what? They've done that. All right, and that's that threatening withal. It's right. So the rich man have done wrong, and yet he threatens withal. The poor is wronged, and he must entreat also. Right, man. You know, because a lot of times that people tend to once they start losing a couple of things, they get back on TV and they apologize for their statements. They apologize for their actions. You see, although they were in the right, although they may have said what was right or done what was right, but yet he has to humble down and take the low. Because how dare you speak up against Massa, right? If thou be for the prophet, he will use thee. If thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. Right, man. So many years this man has driven up the pockets of the Amalekites. All right, all these tours and all these appearances, boosting up stations' viewership, and wherever he went, he created such a buzz that the people who were having him as guests or special guest appearances or things like that were raking in money hand over fist. You see? But when he's not for profit, guess what? Adidas gonna drop him. Apple and Chase and all that, and everybody follows suit. Right? Pretty soon you're gonna be like a regular Joe Schmo where nobody want to touch you. Nobody's gonna want to book you. If you have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will not. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it. Right. So as long as you're on top, as long as you're creating music and styles that are niggerish with them slave clothes and them ridiculous looking boots and them really high end ass Yeezy shoes, all right, he's gonna deal with you as long as you're making him a profit. All right. But then he's gonna turn his back. They say, "Who pity a charmer only bit by a serpent." All right, and when you lose everything, he's gonna take everything away from you. You're not gonna feel bad about it. He's gonna blame you for what? For speaking out, for being anti-Semitic, which is very impossible for him to do. Right? Esau has no remorse, man. If he have need of thee, he will deceive thee and smile upon thee and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair and say, "What wantest thou?" Right, man, and whenever somebody needs you, they speak kindly to you. They cocker you. They give you first class flights and private jets and VIPs here and there, right? And tell you everything's gonna be okay. Or you want 20 blunts and strippers in your green room before you go on stage? Hey, I'm gonna do that too. You see. And he will shame thee by his meats until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice, and the last he will laugh thee to scorn afterward. When he seeth thee, he will forsake thee and shake his head at thee. Beware that thou be not deceived and brought down in thy jollity. All right? and he's been shamed. All right, and he's been shamed so hard that they're not done. They're gonna pull more sponsors from him. They're gonna pull more jobs from him. All right, they're trying to major record labels are vowing not to work with him. All right, so he basically burned bridges that they can never build up and cross again, man. You see, Esau has no intention in restoring him back to his former wealth, back to his former age, man. All right. So beware that thou be not deceived and brought down in thy jollity, man. Right? Don't get deceived by his dainty meats, man. And that goes for brothers too, man. You get so high up on the job and feel so good that you're making money and doing all this. All right, you done made a few dollars more than last year, and things are looking good for you at your job. You got a promotion and all these things, and hey, but don't get deceived by that. Don't let that be the reason why you lose focus of who you are, man. All right. Um, that's it, man. I'm gonna leave it there. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom.